My name is Daniel Schwarz. I'm with Masaryk University and also with a spin-off company of this university, Institute of Biostatistics and Analysis. And my topic for today is virtual patients and how they can facilitate lifelong learning, particularly in oncology and urology. And I'm also aiming at showing you how the WAVES Alliance encouraged us for forming new businesses in continuous professional development for medical doctors. I would like to start with several words about the spin-off company. It's quite a young company of Masaryk University. Masaryk University is the second largest public university in Czech Republic and also one of the academia partners of the WAVES network. And the company, the vision of the company is healthy data. We are focusing mainly on data management and data analytics in clinical research projects, clinical studies, healthcare registries, etc. These are our mission statements. All of them are related to the main departments of the company. So we have data managers focusing on data integrity, data analysts focusing on smart data reporting. Our software engineers provide clinicians with a safe environment for collection of data, and we have also a department of project managers who focus on business development. And business development is something which will bring me to the main topic of my presentation, virtual patients. I will do it in a minute, but before that, just to fill you in on some of the background about Czech physicians and educators, I have gathered some interesting data which might have some important implications for the formation of new businesses in continuous professional development in medicine. So I'll start with Czech Healthcare. It's notorious and well known for crowded waiting rooms and underfunded hospitals. On the other hand, our healthcare holds an enviable position among European countries for unusually rapid access to care. For instance, and this is according to the Euro Health Consumer Index. For instance, in 2016, Czech Healthcare was number 13 in Europe, beating also Western developed countries such as Italy, Ireland, or even UK. But we have also serious problems which are quite long-term. For example, our physicians, especially the young and talented, often emigrate to Western countries, to Austria, Germany, UK. In 2010, there were 2,500 physicians, well organized, who threatened to quit Czech Republic in dispute over pay rates and organization of CPD program, which they consider quite important for them. What about Czech Education? Do you know what it is? This is a quite frequent banknote in Czech banknote with value around 7 euros. But do you know who it is? It is Johann Amos Comenius. It was one of the biggest inventors or innovators of education in Europe. For example, he invented pictorial textbooks written in a native language instead of Latin in 17th century. He was against dull memorization and supported logical thinking. He also supported lifelong learning. Here are some of his works with titles translated into English. And please mind the titles because they may remind you something from the world of virtual patients. For example, here, Learning by Doing. Open Labyrinth, Pedagogy over Technology, or Too Much Teaching Kills the Learning. So these are some of the contributions of Czechs into education, and let's look for something more up to date. This is well-known definition of virtual patients, and thanks to WAVES, we can look at virtual patients, or we can generalize virtual patients into virtual scenarios, which are in fact nothing more than good interactive stories. Because the narrations, the quality of narrations, feedback, branches, and the flow makes really good virtual patients. I'm not sure if you are familiar with Kino Automat. Anyone here? This was another Czech invention conceived for World Expo in Montreal in 1967. It was the first interactive movie. There were 9 points where the action stopped and the moderator appeared on the stage and asked the audience to vote between 2 scenes, and based on the votes, the movie continued. Even Hollywood studios were keen on licensing the technology, but this was impossible due to the communist regime in our country. So I'm sure that most of you are aware of the fact that Virtual Patient is a good story and has hardly anything to do with rocket science or hi-fi technologies such as virtual reality or hi-fi mannequins. It's interactive stories. In a complex simulation centers, for example, one of them is now built in Brno, also with help of St. George's. We are used to use virtual patients to develop skills in students such as clinical reasoning, decision-making, or critical thinking. And we are used to use them together with some collaborative learning methods such as PBL or TBL, where the latter one, TBL, has been recently proven to be more effective in several institutions worldwide. But what about VPs in postgraduate medical education? If I can stay within the Czech context, I have already seen several doctors or physicians undergoing courses, for example, train-the-trainer courses related again to simulation centers or our previous collaboration with St. George's. I have seen several doctors studying their MOOCs, which thanks to WAVES enable now incorporating virtual patients. But to put it as simply as possible, you can use virtual patients in postgraduate medical education also for the most simplest thing, which is self-directed learning. And here, WAVES Knowledge Alliance brought a lot of inspiration and encouragement to me and the company to try developing businesses here. So from the business development perspective, we were looking for some sponsors, partners among pharmaceutical companies and producers of medical records. And we were considering virtual patients' potential for networking because we thought that the physicians could be not only the learners, but also the educators or authors of the content. And by authoring the content, you can make or you can get the physicians closer to pharma and vice versa without breaching any ethical norms. From the technology perspective, we developed a simple virtual scenario delivery system which enables to play a simple linear case, as you saw, for example, in the movie, and to enrich the cases with a lot of references to evidence-based medicine resources, imaging materials, etc. And with one single virtual patient suffering from kidney cancer, we arrived into a real business case because we found that in Ipsen Pharma, they were trying to broadening the application field of their original molecule, cabozantinib, which was used originally for treating kidney cancer, and they were trying to upgrade from the first line to the second line of the treatment. And with this one single virtual patient suffering from kidney cancer, the medical advisor inside pharma was able to attract a lot of interest from young clinicians who were later offered with the possibility to create their own cases based on the real patients. And we started in 2010, and today the The website, the project contains, I think, 6 published cases. All of them are inspired by real patients. And I have put here some recommendations for our authors and also some experience. So, because our authors use their inspiration from the real world cases, we push them to anonymize all the data, including relativization of the time data, because any timestamp can be used to uncover the identity of the patients. We also ask them to classify the options, the decisions, to correct optimal, correct suboptimal, incorrect or incorrect fatal, something which we saw also in the slides of JB. We also ask them to deliver a lot of feedback for the correct as well as for the incorrect options. And because this is a CPD program, we ask them to rely on valid guidelines and evidence-based medicine resources. And because this is a kidney cancer and the diagnostics is full of radiology stuff, we put a lot of imaging data. The experience, Ipsen is now using this project quite intensively and showing off that they are inclined towards CPD programs for medical doctors. What we learned is that PowerPoint is a very simple and powerful tool for delivering virtual patients, and we do not bother our authors with our own technology. We rather use young, smart, motivated one employee who is in fact a part-time job, who does part-time job in our company, with a background in biology, is able to re-engineer all the medical texts into readable narrations, I think with a good flow. What is said here is very important to have a good virtual patient. We are aiming at 10 cases per year for, let's say, one product or one diagnosis or one field. This number is determined by the small size of Czech market, I would say, and was also determined during our calculations because we wanted the project to be beneficial for the sponsor, for the medical doctors who are rewarded financially for delivering their patients, and also for us, the company is getting beneficials for providing the technology as well as human resources for re-engineering the texts. And it's important to know that we have no product placements inside our patients. We are not aiming at mentioning the names of the products or molecules in any of the notes. And with this message, I would like to finish my presentation, and thank you for your attention.